Hi there, care to join us for a Stravaiging? Today, Loki and I are going to be walking up core path 23 up Dundeugh Hill. We'll do this circular walk another day. We are just outside the hamlet of Dundeugh, which is just down over the bridge and around the corner there. The road up to Polmadie is just on the right over there. So this is the A713. Dalry is about 5 miles that way, and Carsphairn is about 4.5 miles that way. And this is known as the Dundeugh Trail. So this board shows some other trails around. Basically just pointing out Dundeugh Hill was shaped by its strategic location at the junction of the waters of the Deugh and the Ken. Carr's Castle on the banks of the Deugh was once a substantial stone building and is thought to have been one of 3 main fortresses of the Earls of Carrick in the 14th century. There's little record of Carr's Castle since the time of Robert the Bruce, who may have destroyed it, along with numerous smaller forts in Galloway during the War of Attrition against the Baliol's. Shortly before he began his guerrilla campaign in the Galloway Hills in 1307, Bruce narrowly escaped capture by the English soldiers, or Baliol's men, while he was hiding in nearby Polmadie village, which, as I mentioned, was just along the road off to the right. Well, turn left on the road and then turn right. More recent times, the river gorges of the Ken and the Deugh were among several similar locations on the D system chosen for construction of the hydroelectric dams. Ken Dún Loch was created by the Galloway power scheme, and that's just up the other side of the hill over there. Opened in 1936. For some years prior to this, Dundeugh Hill had been used as a gathering place for sheep and cattle from Galloway farms owned by the Birtwistle family. Today, the Forestry Commission woodland retains attractive stretches of remnant oak and hazel forest along the sides of the river. There's also the information about the Tinker's Loup, which is a 40-foot waterfall that's currently under the Ken Dún Loch. Alright, so we'll start making our way down. So there's just a short walk here down to, and there is a car park down here as well. So you don't actually have to start from the road, you can start down the car park. And I think a couple of kites circling up there. Don't know if this will be picking it out. Can't tell if that's a pony or a horse. There's a couple more horses just here as well. So yeah, so that's Dundeugh Hill there. Just in the background we can see Cairnsmore Carsphairn and part of Ben Inner. It is a bit windy today. I have seen heron along here as well before, so keep my eyes peeled. I smells up here. I'd seen it just down there, but not seen. I might have actually seen one flying away just as I was coming in. So that's the heron I'm referring to there. So this bridge we're coming up to is the bridge over the Water of Dundeugh, which in particularly stormy weather can actually get overtopped by, this bridge can get overtopped by the river. So this is actually an outflow from a dam that's on Kendun Reservoir, part of the power grid around here as mentioned just before. And our first detour of the day, we're going to just go along here because through here is, so mentioned the Castle. I'm not sure we can actually get to on this path because usually I've just cut across the rough ground over there, which was the 13th century one. So I did a bit of exploring on the way back, and it turns out that this path carries on following the water, the Dundeugh, down to the footbridges just down by Kendun. So we'll probably be taking these when I come back and do the full circular. I'm just going to cut up here. So this is the site of at least the Dundeugh Castle. That is a 16th century one, stronghold of the Gordons. Get off this crunchy grass. Ow! I think they believe it was an L-shaped castle. Sorry if that's been a bit jerky so far. So this, I believe, is the remains of it. And this has obviously been planted around previously, so it would have been even harder to find before. You might be able to go through, there is a track going off to the right down there. You might be able to get through to that. Through here from there. It'll still be rough. Or you can just cut across. So it's still rough, but we can cut across here too. The car park. Glad I'm wearing trousers. I'm pretty sure I've already got a thorn in my boot. So yeah, from the car park you can just see the rise just over there. And there's the bridge just down there. I hope the wind's not drowning out all the bird song. And yeah, basically, that sounds no unauthorised vehicles, it's not. Yeah, basically we're going to go through around here and carry on. And say the core path actually goes that way, and I think there might be a way through from Kendoon coming around that way. I'll explore that on another walk. And there's some footbridges. So the Riverside Walk carries on down that way and then goes all the way around and comes out here. And over here we can see Kendoon Search Tower. which again we've been able to see from various different viewpoints and different walks. Apologies if this has been coming out quite jerky. There's a firmware upgrade from a gimbal a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, the settings just doesn't seem to be behaving the same way. Anyway, that's Dundeugh Hill up there as well, I forgot to mention. I'm assuming this is just an access road into the forestry areas. And I've looked at the maps for it before and doesn't seem to go anywhere, but the maps don't always kind of, depending on what level of detail you can get in the map in and how old it is, doesn't necessarily follow the tracks to the end. Behind us we've got the Dundeugh Cows. And of course my brain suddenly just blanked on the name of that hill, so I'll add that in later. So that's, I think, the route up into the Polmaddy Glen over there. Behind that forestry we can see over there, there's a clearing for the abandoned village of Polmaddy. Okay, the hill name is bugging me, one sec. I think it's not Clun. Yeah. I can see him for a second there and his head suddenly just popped up from... Found yourself a little muddy pool, have you, boy? And there is forestry going on, like forestry work going on here every so often. So obviously keep your wits about you. It may not always be obvious until some vehicle comes thundering down the road. So if my plan works out for the second part of this core path, and I just go around the loop, the plan is this bit will probably not be covered all the way down to basically the start, because I'm hoping I can get through to Kendoon and then down along that other road as I mentioned before. A happy little butterfly there, gliding around on the breeze. Right, I think this is the path that heads down into Glenhoul, across the bridge down there, and right down into Kendoon. And as I say, I hope it's going to be possible that I can just carry on round and back across another footbridge and onto the path. But essentially, that last little section that we've just walked will not be in the next walk video. So my brain just went blank there for a second. And this little stretch that we've just done from where I said we'll leave the other road, we'll be probably in twice, at least in the full version. We are going to head up that way. The loop comes out round that way. And just over there as well, I think that's the farm we go by near, is the entrance to the walk that follows the Blackwater up to, from the Blackwater Bridge up to Butter Hole Bridge. Anyway, so as I said, we're going to carry on up here. I think these are the same trees that were here last time I was up here last year. So windfall from one of last year's storms. It does always look apocalyptic in there. Sorry. I tried to share a local folktale at this point of the walk. However, trying to read from a small screen while keeping half an eye on the camera and where I was walking was not that easy. Who'd have thunk it? So here's a voiceover instead. A story is told about a shepherd called Sandy Maxwell, who was bored one Sabbath day and decided to investigate the cairn on Dundeugh Hill. To his amazement, at the base of the cairn he found a stone slab, and under the slab was a crock of gold. He took 3 coins from the treasure and reburied the rest, marking the cairn with his crook and taking some of the coins to show his wife. Now, that morning, his wife, who was normally sharp-tongued and quarrelsome, had given a meal to a ferrywoman who had knocked at the door, and he thought that maybe his luck had something to do with that. However, when he got home, his wife was in a bad mood, and she was greedy and demanded he build her a fine house in Carsphairn. He wanted to buy Dundeugh Hill and rebuild the castle there, and they had a tremendous argument. His wife, when she had washed the dishes, went to throw the water out of the back door. The ferrywoman then reappeared and asked that she throw it down the drain instead, as the water was making her baby's bedclothes wet. But Sandy's wife was very rude to her. The ferrywoman replied that she had tried to do her a good turn, but it was just as easy to do a bad turn, and off she went. Shortly after, Sandy and his wife and son went back to dig up the gold, but they found that the whole hillside was covered in cairns, with Sandy's crook stuck in all of them. Having exhausted themselves fruitlessly digging, they finally returned home, and the ferrywoman met them and asked if the wife had learned her lesson. The story got out, and they became the laughingstock of the neighbourhood. another junction here. I need to check the map quickly. Pretty sure we're going up to the right here, but yes, I forgot, there's actually more than one loop. So up here you can come around and can end up back down here as well. And there's also a route down that can get back to the far side of the circular. But today we'll just stick with going up to the top of Dundeugh. Trying to figure out if that's Black Craig or Weatherhill Wind Farm over there. Down there we can see the dam on one of the dams on Kendon. We can get a lot closer to it when we do the loop. I'll come back to that wind farm when we get up there. I'm going to actually take a wee sidetrack and head up that wee lump that we see ahead of us when we get up there. And I'll figure out the hills from there. That must be Weatherhill Wind Farm over there. Let's see. Blackwater of Ken coming down there. See the hide at the Carsphairn Community Woodland. And we'll take another look from up there. So we are going to carry on up there. This wee path comes out at the cut area just above the route I mentioned earlier. Let's quickly scramble up here. So worth it. Okay, so that's where we've just come up. We're going to carry on up there. I think that one might link through to other ones in the paths around. A bit windy up here. So we have Craig of Knock Grey and this windy standard behind it. Liliana, Dunnoon, Knee of Cairnsborough Carsphairn with Cairnsborough Carsphairn behind it. And the one with the steep drop off is Ben Inner. And then just on the other side of Ben Inner is Moorbrook. I need to check the names of those ones over there, I can never remember. Maybe Ben Brack over there as well. It'll be Weatherhill Wind Farm. And then, I said it multiple times when we're doing the Strathfreggan one. I think that might be another Benin, and there's another name for it as well. And yeah, so, and then here we also have, that's Kendoon, and there's a fish farm down there. So that's the Water of Duke coming down. Can maybe just make out a dam just over there. That's letting the water through for the Water of Duke that we walked over. And then this bit is just the Kendoon Reservoir. That's the Water of Ken coming down there. So Carsphairn Community Woodland in the foreground, the other side of the water. We walked right down to that dike over there when we did that one. And I think the crag just around there, just to the right of that, might be the Strathfreggan crag right there. And then over there, mentioned before, we've got the base of Marscallach, McCliston, sorry. We walked round up to Basser Hole Bridge, which is, you can just actually make out, ooh, everything's gone blurry, sorry, but just over there. And down there, you can just see the top of the Kendoon Surge Tower. And then we've got Carsphairn Reservoir and Carsphairn Dam. Black Creek, the big one in the distance there. And yeah, see another couple of dams along there. That one might just be a barrier, I'm not sure if it's a dam. Okay, so that's the dam you can see from the road earlier on, guiding it basically down into the aqueduct. It takes it down to one final dam and then goes down to the Surge Tower. So we can hear everything. Down there we can also just see the track that for the circular. Really? Very eloquently put. Shall we carry on then? Right, so make our way back down the hill. Getting distracted again. Right, we'll carry on up the hill. I think that might be Black Craig Wind Farm appearing just over there from here. I probably won't have, there's probably going to be too many videos I've mentioned, other walks that I've mentioned already to sort of put into the top right, so I'll link them in the description as well. Right, so this is another one of the ones that go around and link up with the other routes around here, but we're going to go up here. I don't think it's that much further up to go now. This would be a fun place to bring the mountain bike, especially the coming back down part. There's the communications tower. So I forgot to mention time of year. We're currently in mid-May and these conditions are just perfect. Oh, maybe not for recording when the wind's blowing, but cool breeze, warmish weather and sunshine and no midges, pesky midges. Oh, midgie season will be coming to us soon. If I've got my directions right, it's us looking up into the forest estate. I think, is that Cairnsmore fleet behind? Must be. As already mentioned, got Blackcraig and Bennyguinea. Bennyguinea's the one with the mast on. And between them, that's Fellowfleet. Two forested ones over there. One on the right is Carsphairn Hill, and the one on the left is the Benin. I'm not sure what the one to the right is. I'll need to look at the maps on the way back, or when I get back. We also have Scriel and Bengairn over there. And yeah, again, I've forgotten the name of the other one. The other two just to the right of them. And Carsphairn is the loch in the middle ground, and the one behind that is Earlston Loch, all part of the Galloway hydroelectric scheme. This is just glorious up here. And we have the communication stuff. And then we'll just nip up here at the very top. I'm guessing that's the base for a previous communications tower up there. And I'm guessing the Shepherd's cairn is nae more. Rinsa Kells are just the other side of these trees, can't really see them from here. Yeah. Go back to these views one more time along here, just from even slightly higher ground. Then when I go to the editing stage, I'll find out that I've got half the hill names wrong. Pretty confident about most of them, but some around that I'm not sure about. And now, oh well, that's just at the top. That has been glorious. The views up here are wonderful. I think Loki's enjoyed himself, haven't you, Loki? Well, thank you for joining us in this Stravaiging, and hope you can join us for another one in the future. Sláinte.